Hello, health seekers, and welcome to Health Talk Magazine. I'm Dr. J.L. Johnson, your host and your licensed nutritional doctor. And this is the place where you come to get expert information on natural health. So you can call us. Remember that the information is right on the screen. You can go to our website and get more information. Now today, I want you to get your pencils and your paper out because I'm going to be teaching on the danger of doing biopsies. Even though most people think that they're perfectly safe, but there's a danger in doing biopsy. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, for those of you out there who don't know me, I'm Dr. J.L. Johnson. I'm a licensed nutritional herbal doctor, licensed by the Board of Medicine. Also, I'm a master herbalist, trained in most of the herbologies in Chinese, Japanese, American. Also, my friend, with a PhD in nutrition and with over 42 years experience of helping people all across this country and the many other countries out there where we do business. Also, I want you to know that I'm one of the world's leading herbal nutritional doctors and that our company, the Aloe Man Incorporated, is also the largest African-American owned health product company and health product company of its kind anywhere in the world. We have over 1,000 herbal formulations in order to help you with just about any kind of problem that you might have. It's biblical, my friend. Right there in your Bible, the good Lord has told us that he has given us every green herb for the healing of the nation. And to you it shall be meat. Could it be that you're not getting well because you're not obeying those words and using God's herbs in order to help your bodies to heal itself? Well, our job is to give you the right combination, the right herbs, so that you, for the right part of your body to support your body in healing itself. And that's what it's really all about. Your body heals itself. There's no such thing as a cure. The body heals itself. All we can do is give the body what it needs so that the body can heal itself. And that's what it's all about. And that's what we do here. So give us a call. Go to our website and you can place your order there. And also you can get more information. And while you're there, I want you to visit our section on health concerns where I have mapped out alphabetically the formulas and the parts of the body that those formulas may support. So you can go there and get more information without talking to us. But listen to this. If you or your friend or your neighbor or family member is sick and ailing, you need to call us. Let us develop a health program for you. That's what we do best. We develop a health program so that in order to put you back on the road to health again. And so all you have to do is call us up, give us the information, and we can design that health program for you no matter what the so-called problem it is or whatever information you want. We have a trained staff here that can give you answers to that, to those questions that you might have. So let's get into today's show. Now, many of you may have heard already the sad news about Damon John, who sadly was discovered. His doctors discovered that there was a polyp in his throat, and that polyp, and then they're saying that polyp was cancerous, and of course he had to go through the cancer treatment. I don't know what treatment he took, whether it was radiation or chemotherapy or whatever it is, but I understand that he's on his way to recovery right now. But we want to talk about the dangers of biopsy. Now, here's the situation right here. This is a teachable moment that a lot of people need to get a hold of this. There are certain places in the body that you do not stick needles into. You've got to be aware of that. And that's what a biopsy is. They stick a needle in to find out whether or not it's cancer. Now, nodules are one of those things that you really should not stick needles in my opinion. And of course, the opinion of many other health specialists out there that that's a place where you don't stick a needle in. Now, let me tell you why. Certain places in the body, nodules, tumors, and also in the colon where you get nodules, where you get these nodules in the colon, and things and soft tissues like the breast, the prostate. Those are areas that you have to be very careful about allowing someone to stick a needle into it. Now, let me tell you why. Because those areas, those particular areas, you can create major problems in those areas. Remember, let's take that nodule that they stuck a needle into in his throat. Well, of course, nodules normally show up when there is a heat syndrome. Now, let me explain that a little bit. When there's a heat syndrome in the body, so your body, think about your body as a house, the same way. Let's say you had a chimney in your house. And of course, you know that the heat always rises. Well, let's say if you stuck your hand above the chimney and left it there for a long time, even if it's high up, and left it in the same spot for a long time, what will eventually happen to your hand? It would eventually blister, and normally a nodule will show up in the place where that heat is constantly going up. So normally when you have nodules in the throat, it is too much heat in the stomach. So it appears that he was creating a lot of heat in his stomach, and that heat flushed up to the throat, which create the nodules to grow in the throat. Now the nodules is simply, it's responding to that heat that's going in that area, that same heat from the same area all the time, years going by, it creates that nodule. Now once that nodule is there, and here's the thing, most nodules are never, 99.9% of the time, never are cancerous. And so that's one thing that you got to know. And also, here's the other thing. Many other places in the body, you have to be careful, like fibroids and those kind of things. If you stick a needle in a fibroid, then you can create, yes, it's a possibility that you can create cancer cells. Now, let's take the situation here with this nodule. So if they stuck a needle in there, now the first thing you got to find out is how many times did they stick that nodule. But if they stuck that nodule a number of times, then that can create an immune response where the immune system is seeing where the body is being attacked, and the body will send white blood cells there in order to begin to heal that process. And then potassium chloride is drawn to that area, and a number of things begin to happen. If bleeding is there, then of course a fibrin is drawn to that area. All kinds of things begin to happen so that the body can begin to heal it. In addition to that, by sticking that needle in that nodule, you can create, like I said, an immune response where cancer cells can develop. Now, you need to know this. We all develop cancer cells in our lifetime. All of us develop cancer cells. And when we injure ourselves or hurt ourselves, cancer cells can show up in those spots. Yes, it can show up in those spots. So by sticking that needle in there, you can now create cancer cells. And of course, if they take the piece of material or whatever they got from it and they put it under the microscope, then they're going to see cancer cells. Now, in this country, a lot of times people have cancer cells, and then they're told that they actually have cancer, and they don't. They simply have cancer cells. And many times those cancer cells are being created by the damage that has been done to the body at that particular time. So if you test that at that particular time, you can see the cancer cells that are there. But in most cases, if you left it alone, the body would actually heal itself and sitting there, and the cancer cells would be destroyed right there without it. But by testing it right then, you can see the cancer cells that are there. So it's a possibility that by sticking a needle into that nodule, you create cancer cells. No question about it. And that's one of, and mostly in herbology history, you normally don't stick needles in nodules. You just don't do that, and you don't stick needles in tumors because you can create major problems in the body. So this is what happens a lot of times with men when they go in for these tests that they give. and then they tell them that they need to have a biopsy. So when the man goes in there and they stick the needle into the prostate, they normally never stick them one time. The average man that goes in for a test, they're stuck 12 to 14 times. Did you know that? 12 to 14 times, which in most cases will most definitely create an immune response, and cancer cells can be available, can show up right there at that particular spot. But it doesn't mean that the person has cancer. It's simply cancer cells. It's the body protecting itself and the body responding to what has just happened, this trauma, by sticking this needle into the prostate 12 times. You created this immune response, and the cancer cells are there. But if you left the body alone and for a period of time, then most likely the immune system would kill the cancer cells that were there, and therefore there would be no cancer. And many of these men are told that they have cancer when they actually only have cancer cells. Same thing with the breast. The breast is that soft tissue, and of course, if you stick a needle in there, you can create a sore inside of the breast, and that sore sits there, and it can form a nucleus, and it can start off a tumor. Now, of course, this is my opinion, but it's not just, well, I should say this is not just my opinion, but I'm speaking from this. This is strictly my opinion, but it is a possibility, I'm saying, that you can create cancer by sticking a needle in that soft tissues, like the liver, the pancreas, the heart, any one of these organs. You can create a sore inside of that organ that can actually lead to cancer. Yes, it can actually lead to cancer in the body. And this is something that we need to really, that the Medical Association, in my opinion, need to take a real look at, because this could be a major problem that is happening to many people out there. In fact, there were articles written on this before, especially with the prostate, where many of the medical association told the doctors that they, and with the breast, many of the women that are told that they have breast cancer, they only have cancer cells and not cancer. And so there have been many write-ups on this already. It's not that I'm just bringing it out, but the public is not aware of this, and the public needs to be aware. You need to protect yourself. So you say, well, what can I do other than do the biopsy? Well, there's other reasons. There's imaging. There's all kinds of things that you can look into the body and get better answers. And then there's some things that you just don't do. And one of those is normally by sticking a needle into that nodule. Could it be that that's what happened to Damon John? That nodule was sitting there? Of course, it's sitting there, and it's most likely. And now remember, 99.9% of the times, that nodule is never, ever going to turn into cancer. But it can turn into cancer if you stick a needle in it. You disturb it, the makeup in it, the tissue in it, you can disturb it, and therefore you can create cancer cells there in that nodule. There's no question about it. So it's a possibility that is what happened to him. But now that you have created the cancer cells that are there, and then you go back in and you cut that nodule, which is another thing normally you don't do. If you cut that nodule, then of course you can set the person up where cancer will grow in that particular spot. Yes, that is a possibility right there. So it's a teachable moment, and I thought I would bring that out because a lot of people out there are not aware of this. There is a difference between having cancer and having cancer cells. Many of us will have cancer, and many times that we get injuries, we will develop cancer cells, and many times, and you can actually produce these cancer cells by creating injury, by like for instance, we're talking about the danger of biopsy. Is it possible that you can create cancer, or actually cancer by actually doing the biopsy? That's a good question that we need to ponder out there. And I'm sure there's other inquiring minds out there that's thinking about it. But in the meantime, personally, if I had a nodule, I would never stick a needle into it. And of course, in my prostate, I'm never going to let anyone stick a needle in my prostate either, or my heart, or my lungs, or my liver, or any of these areas of my body, because it definitely can create cancer. There's no question about that. So I wanted to bring that out so that people out there can see this for themselves, and an informed person can make a better decision. And you can make these decisions in your life, and a lot of times you can save your life by making the right decisions, and many times. So again, the dangers we're talking about in this show, the danger of doing biopsies. There is a danger to it. A lot of people will simply just do it simply because they're told that they need to do it. But I'm saying that you need to think about it. You need to understand the dangers that are involved before you do it, and then know your options that you have there, and know the possibilities and the outcomes of your actions. So again, this is Health Talk, and I'm Dr. J.L. Johnson. And to let you know, nodules can grow in different places in the body. And of course, polyps can grow, like in the colon, for instance. And again, in the colon, where these polyps grow in the colon, normally it's because there's too much heat in the colon, and it creates this nodule to grow because of damage being done to the walls of the colon, and it will grow. To cut that nodule could possibly lead, because remember, when you cut that nodule inside the colon, when you do a colonoscopy, you cut that nodule in there, you leave an open sore sitting in fecal matter, and that, of course, can be a situation where you can cause more damage, and in many cases, you can create colon cancer. It's a possibility that you can create colon cancer by doing these kinds of things. So I just want to bring that out to people and let them know that you do. Now, there are herbal formulas available. Nodules, remember, your body grew these nodules. They can also shrink these nodules. And if you remove that heat syndrome, for instance, the heat that he was having in his stomach or in his digestive tract, and all that heat was flushing up to his throat, normally causing that nodule. In the colon, it's too much heat in the colon. This person probably eats a lot of hot sauce or spicy foods and all of these kind of things, creating the heat syndrome in the colon, which creates the polyps in the colon. And of course, when you do a colonoscopy and when they see them, they cut those polyps, and that you put yourself in danger or in harm's way at that particular time, where you could possibly create colon cancer. So you need to really think about these kinds of things and the things that you're doing to your body. And women should be very, very careful about biopsies, because a lot of times they will take a mammogram. When you take a mammogram, and sometimes the mammogram will damage the breast when they clamp this thing down on their breast, and it can bruise the breast on the inside. And through the imaging, you can see that bruise. If you stick a needle in there into that bruise, it's a possibility that you can create cancer cells at that particular moment. Yes, you can. And then it sits there and it festers and end up being cancer. So I want you to think about the possibilities that these things can happen, and it can happen to anyone. So again, we want to belabor. We don't want to labor the point, but I think that everyone out there saying, I wanted to bring out that so that the public can see that there is a danger there. And of course, I'm Dr. J.L. Johnson, and this show is being brought to you by the Aloe Man Incorporated. And of course, you can call us on our toll-free number or go to the website. And on the website, it doesn't matter where these nodules show up. There are certain herbal formulas that support the throat, the thyroid, because normally the nodules in the throat will grow on one side of the thyroid, normally on the right side. And you can also have these nodules in the colon. You can have these nodules can grow in different parts of the body. Wherever there's a heat syndrome, you can create a nodule or some other kind of growth that are there. So again, those formulas can support the body. If you remember, if the heat is there, if you change the diet, and of course you use the support formula in order to eliminate the heat that is there, then you can eliminate the factor that actually, the fire under there that's creating the nodule, that's damaging that spot above it, and therefore creating the nodule. I hope you understood what we're saying today. And if there's any questions, you can also call our 800 number, and we'll be more than glad to answer it for you. And it looks like we've come to a close of Health Talk again today. But as always, we give praise to Almighty God. We hope that you praise him, and we say, God bless you all.